Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you can hear me, y'all. Give me some bells in the chat. It's Thursday morning in LA, at least. Is that a thumbs up for me? Okay. It's a very poorly planned morning. Unexpected live. Didn't have my audio together. It's all good though, because I'm here with some interesting information I want to share. But let me do my official. We're talking about the music industry. We're talking about R. Kelly. So let's do this.
God is dawn. Like and subscribe. Comment some night. Loving this light. God is dawn. God is dawn. God is dawn.
Peace, world, peace. Welcome or welcome back. I am Goddess Dawn, the warrior. And I'm coming to you live from LA on this Thursday, 8/12/21. Yeah, this is an unusual day and time for me, but going live is a time saver when it comes to bringing information. So yeah, I've been doing some research, of course, looking into some things. Came across this article from the Chicago Tribune. I want to share it. I sent it to a couple of my people, and a couple couldn't open it because it's subscription based. So that's why I'm coming live with it. Otherwise, I would have just posted it on my community, which I still might throw the link out there for others. But it's an article that it's new to me, but it was actually published in January of 2019, right after Surviving R. Kelly came out and right before the many arrests, charges, and finally his federal incarceration in July 2019. I know everybody remembers that. So we have Black, Brown, Jive, Sony mainly. Okay. But yeah. This article is unique as it focuses on the music industry side of things with regard to R. Kelly's behavior and alleged crimes. They turned a blind eye while they raked in the cash. And I feel they're heavily complicit. And that, they should carry some of the weight of the responsibility. I mean, he's responsible, but, I feel like they were definitely a part of the problem. All right, let's see who's in the chat. Love Warrior, beautiful spirit, my sisters. Thank you for having my back. Hold me down. Lasting Impressions by Kim. Welcome back. Yeah. Tabitha, welcome. Good morning. True Seeker 59. Welcome back, sis. So this is a quick live because I actually have things to do. But this is when was the best time for me to fit this in. So let's, get into this information. I think this is mostly things we've known, but some of these details are interesting to me. Some of them we've heard, some of them we haven't. All right, so how the music industry overlooked R. Kelly's alleged abuse of young women. There's an editor's note at the beginning of this. Tracy Sampson, who said she met R. Kelly when she was 16, a 16-year-old Epic Records intern in 1999, and began a sexual relationship with him shortly thereafter, shares her story on a Dateline NBC special, Accused, the R. Kelly Story. That is scheduled to air 9 p.m. Friday. Sampson spoke with the Washington Post about Kelly for the first time publicly last year. Okay, now as I'm reading this, I am not on the screen where I can see comments. So I guess I'm trying to think, should I have one of y'all, my mods, come in here? So if somebody could come in that can read comments while you're actually in the StreamYard. Otherwise, text me if something is going down, because otherwise, I don't know. I'm just gonna go through this. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time, but I got enough time for y'all. So let's see. So R. Kelly was in trouble again, and it was really bad this time. It was 2002, and the police were investigating a sex tape that appeared to show the R&B superstar with a 14-year-old girl. Of all the scandals that had stirred around Kelly in this decade of fame, this one felt especially dire. But Kelly remained a potent talent, a hit maker, who suavely skipped from sexy makeout jams like Bump and Grind to inspirational tearjerkers like I Believe I Can Fly. And the industry wasn't done with him yet. Even as bad publicity swirled, Kelly could always retreat to the studio, where he wrote #1 hits for some of the world's biggest stars, including Michael Jackson and Celine Dion. And that's just where David McPherson needed him. A rising young executive at Epic Records, McPherson made his name by signing the Backstreet Boys and Mandy Moore, and was eager to launch the label's new boy band, B2K, with Kelly's behind-the-scenes guidance. He did, however, ask one question about the star's offstage life. Is this stuff true? He asked Rocky Bivens, a Kelly assistant, according to Bivens. So Bivens spoke to, this is me breaking out of the article. So Bivens, I remember as being one of the witnesses present at the wedding, I put wedding in quotes, of Aaliyah and R. Kelly. And so Rocky Bivens spoke in regards to the situation. I'm wondering, is he going to be on the stand? I'm just questioning. Let me get back into the article, but I just wanted to make note of that. Rocky Bivens was definitely an insider in his camp. Then, in quotes, did you watch the tape? Bivens recalls saying. McPherson told him he had not. Bivens said he hadn't either. And I'm going to just break out of this real quick and say, I don't believe either one of them. Neither one of them saw the tape. Okay. It's because, Dave, if I watch the tape and that's him, I'm gone and you're not getting those records. Bivens said, he told McPherson. I'm glad you did not watch those tapes. So it sounds to me like they are glad, he's glad that they didn't watch the tapes, because they know that the tapes are real. And this is coming from Bivens to the reporter. So clearly we can't, take everything he's saying as 100%. I mean, okay, let me come over to y'all real quick. Thomas Reese, hello to you. Okay, Beautiful said Rocky Bivens was in the Lifetime docuseries. I wonder if I read about him in a different, not on Lifetime, somewhere else. But yeah, I just remember, I think it was Demetrius that spoke on him being there at the ceremony, if you want to call it that. Okay, back to this. So we're talking about R. Kelly and the music industry executives and the people and the handlers and the people who I feel are complicit and, have some responsibility in turning a blind eye to some things, right? That could have been squashed a long time ago, because he basically got away with a lot of the things because of the money he had from these labels, but they were too busy raking the money in to care. Bet you if it's one of their daughters or family members, it would have been a different story. The article goes on to say, in February 2003, B2K soared with #1 with Bump Bump Bump, a hip-hop earworm featuring P. Diddy, written and produced by Kelly. I don't think I knew that Kelly was behind B2K like that. And that kind of speaks a lot to the things that are going on within B2K and up to this date, right? With the allegations with their management taking advantage and abusing and all that stuff. Okay, now, let's see. 2 months later, McPherson soared to a new job, promoted to run the new urban music division for Epic's parent company, Sony. So McPherson moved from Epic over to Sony, and says that he soared. So he was promoted, clearly. And in the urban arena, which I'm wondering, is he even Black? Probably not. Let's see. McPherson, who has since left Sony, did not respond to multiple interview requests. And that's curious to me. These people aren't talking because they know they're guilty. He is far from the only industry figure who worked with Kelly and benefited from the partnership, even as a cloud of allegations, mostly involving the sexual abuse of young women, began to grow around the star. For more than 2 decades, the recording industry turned a blind eye to Kelly's behavior as his career continued to thrive, and he was afforded every luxury of a chart-topping superstar. A Washington Post investigation found that this disregard for the singer's alleged behavior played out on many levels, from the billionaire record executive who first signed the dynamic young vocalist in the early 1990s to the low-paid assistants who arranged flights, food, and bathroom breaks for his traveling entourage of young women. And this is Tracy Sampson, who was the intern at Epic Records, 16 years old. Okay, I'm over here in the chat real quick. Yeah, could have stopped a lot of issues for a lot of people. A lot of karma to be paid here. Yep. I couldn't think of Chris Stokes' name, beautiful spirit, but yeah, you're right. They were friends. And didn't R. Kelly live with Chris Stokes for some time? He came out to LA, I think, and stayed with him. And he had a young daughter at the time himself. This is a crazy, like, whole rabbit hole of stuff once you get into it. Kells is a cash cow, I'll say, for the music industry until he wasn't. Exactly. And they're still benefiting. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say they're not still benefiting from this man. I mean, it's obviously not what it was, but it is something. And now they don't have to deal with his butt, Okay. It goes on. 6 women once connected with Kelly spoke to the Post about what they say were abusive relationships. 2 of those women, Tracy Sampson and Patrice Jones, have never publicly spoken out about him before. In quotes, he makes you feel like he's a wounded puppy, like he's hurt so deeply that there's good there. He just can't get it all out, said Sampson, who was a 16-year-old Epic Records intern when she says Kelly first approached her in 1999. Quote, being so much older now, I see how wrong stuff was and how ultimately gross and pedophilish it was. But that's something you have to have your adult brain to process. And see, she's speaking right there on the psychological effects that this type of abuse have on young people in general, girls and boys. So goes on to say, back in 2002, Sampson didn't speak, silenced by a familiar legal tool, a non-disclosure agreement. And we went through that on last night's live with the non-disclosures that were brought into the, I guess, the defense's motion. They want to dismiss a lot of charges, and part of that have to do with the fact that there are settlement agreements. Okay, so it goes on. Kelly continued to settle with more women as allegations against him mounted, but music industry luminaries remained silent, instead smiling for pictures alongside him at platinum record ceremonies. That chilling code of silence remains today. Almost 25 years after the singer's illegal marriage to 15-year-old protege Aaliyah, and only weeks after a Dallas woman accused Kelly of knowingly giving her herpes, which is another. And mind you, this was written January 2019, but as we read this article, we're getting a lot of the charges are coming out from, what we already knew. So it's like things finally like got a stranglehold over him. Okay, let me come over real quick. Check on y'all. Queen, what's going on? Happy Thursday. Gmail user, period. I'm going to take that as period. Good day. I hope them keeping this uncovered don't come back and bite them in the butt. I hope them keeping this uncovered. Okay, I'm not sure if I understand that. All right, so this is a printed article, so anything in here, is already out there. All right, let me find my place here. All right, in parentheses, Kelly denies the allegations made by the Dallas woman. Kelly, and then continues, Kelly remains an active recording artist for RCA Records, a division of Sony, and continues to get booked for arena shows. Okay, so wait, let me make sure when this was. I thought it was in January 2019. Yeah, January 18th. So I guess at that point he was still getting booked by certain arenas. Not very many. Okay, let's see. But a shift seems to be taking place, sparked by a damning 2017 report by BuzzFeed's Jim DeRogatis that focused on the women who remained with Kelly, combined with the growing power of the Me Too movement. The Time's Up Women of Color, a powerful anti-sexual harassment group that includes producer Shonda Rhimes, actress Rashida Jones, and director Ava DuVernay, demanded this week that RCA drop Kelly and that over 2 decades of allegations be investigated. A Kelly representative called for the effort the, quote, public lynching of a Black man who has made extraordinary contributions to our culture. And I think, what is the lady's name? Tarana Burke, who is head of the Me Too movement. We watched some interview of hers last night in last night's live. If you missed last night's live, tongue-tied. If you missed last night's live, go catch that. We broke down some court documents and whatnot. But in her interview, she spoke on people who defend R. Kelly and kind of put him as our example of, or, his being the representative of all Black men. We know that is not the case. And we also know that his talent and the contributions, I guess if you want to call that, to our community is one thing, but doesn't negate the allegations or the things that, he has possibly done. 2 things can exist at the same time. The good things that people say he's done, as well as the bad things that people say he's done. That is just human dynamic. Okay. Girl, if you don't get up out of here, Susanna, nothing is blasphemous about knowing who you are. And if you have a problem with that, you can take that somewhere else. So I will be blocking you. Enjoy the block party. Okay, good day, said undercover. Okay, it's not letting me block you. Okay, I'll deal with you. It's fine. Let's see. I know my mods are y'all working, right? Let's see. So you said you were saying undercover. I hope them keeping this undercover don't come back and bite them in the butt. Okay, I got you. Well, why wouldn't it? So you're saying you hope that the people who kept this undercover don't get bitten in the butt? Well, I think they should get bitten in the butt because they did keep it undercover. Like, that's just my opinion. All right, for some, okay, let me get back to this. She gonna talk about God. You know how many people are goddesses on YouTube in their what is it called? I guess character, but it's just funny. I just wonder, are you going to everybody's channel and saying these ridiculous things? Do you know how low that makes you look, and how sad, and how just how low vibrational do you have to be to criticize somebody about what they deem themselves as? You are a sad, sorry individual, a joke of a person. Okay, let me go on. All right. Let's see. Where was I at? Here we go. Mika Elbaz, Executive Vice President of RCA Records and Sony Music, declined to comment. I'm going to ask Beautiful Spirit, because you're good at the note taking, or actually both of y'all are. If one of you guys could please make a list of these names, the executives. Okay, so Mika Elbaz. Kelly's management provided a statement to the Post early Friday saying that the singer has close friendships with a number of women who are strong, independent, happy, well cared for, and free to come and go as they please. All of the women targeted by the current media onslaught are legal adults and of sound mind and body with their own free will. And of course, Kelly's management, in quotes, is going to say that. And again, he could have close friendships with a number of women who are this, that, and the other, and at the same time be doing all the other things that he's being accused of. You understand what I'm saying? Just because one thing exists doesn't mean the other doesn't also. People don't seem to be able to have that in their mindset. It says Kelly himself declined through his manager multiple requests to comment for this story. So here he is again, refusing to say something, to stand up for himself, to deny his guilt. It says in February, he was approached by the Washington Post in the lobby of the Doubletree Suites Hotel in Detroit after a concert. He ignored a request for an interview and was shuffled away by associates. And those associates are probably going to be testifying against him today. It says, as early as 1994, Kelly's tour manager, Demetrius Smith, recalls warning Clive Calder, here we go, the founder of Jive Records, the first label to sign Kelly. In quotes, I said, Clive, you all need to tell him that you all aren't going to put out his records if he continues to have these incidents with these girls after the show. Smith says he told Calder, because he was going on at every show. Oh, I'm sorry, because it was going on at every show. And of course, here we are again with someone's word of mouth to a reporter. So, but Demetrius, he wrote a whole book, and we know he was there helping getting the documents right for the fake license for Aaliyah, the marriage, all of that. And this Clive Calder guy is definitely hold on. Okay. Right. I'm betting from Jive Record to RCA connected to background. Right. Okay. Thank you guys for handling that. His brothers testify as well. He admitted he saw other tapes with white girls. Okay. Yeah, that's right. He sure did. Exactly. Two things can be true. Multiple things can be true at once, actually, especially when you're talking about a person as dynamic as R. Kelly. Can't deny that he lived a lifestyle that none of us will ever understand. So he needs to explain why Joy is in hiding. Yeah, I would love to hear from Joy. But like I said, we're doing a reading, Joycelyn, a tarot reading Friday night. Become a member, join the channel to become a part of that live. All right, so let me get back to this. Clock is ticking. All right, so we know Clive Calder was the owner of Jive Records, who started R. Kelly in the business. So he's to blame. All right, Calder, who is rarely interviewed, was reached at his home in the Cayman Islands. He said he regrets not trying harder to get help for Kelly. So this man has made his money, his billions. He's a billionaire. And he is living in the Cayman Islands, away from all of this disgusting mess. In quotes, it says, "But I'm not a psychiatrist, and this guy is a troubled guy," said the mogul, who sold Jive for $2.7 billion in 2002. I'm wondering if R. Kelly or any of the other artists got any piece of that $2.7 billion when he sold the company. That's very interesting. $2.7 billion. In quotes, he says, "Clearly, we missed something." And like I said earlier, it's called turning a blind eye, and it's called $2.7 billion. I mean, I don't know if R. Kelly, Jive had a lot of other artists, but R. Kelly also wrote for some of those artists. So we can start calling R. Kelly $2.7 billion, because that's how much he should be worth today, in my opinion, with all that he has contributed to the industry and as much as the industry has profited off of him. But again, this doesn't take away from the dark side of things with regard to him. So I just want to make that clear. In his 2012 memoir, Solar Coaster, The Diary of Me, Kelly described a childhood racked by abuse and neglect. Robert Sylvester Kelly grew up in the Chicago projects, his father gone before his birth, his working mother often leaving him in a house chaotic with cousins, aunties, friends of my aunties, and that's in quotes. One day, Kelly stumbled upon two people having sex. They called him in and told him he could watch. Later, they gave him a camera and asked him to take pictures. Kelly was 8. That's also when an older woman in the house, whom Kelly did not name, performed oral sex on him. So this again was from his book. And I've always said that we don't know if that's true, but I think I've heard before about him having the camera and being 8 years old and that part of it. So if he was exposed to something like that, I could see how that became some type of a sick, twisted pattern or habit of his. Okay, let me see what y'all are talking about here. Wow, Wayne. Okay, thank you for doing that. Appreciate you. Okay, Truth Seeker. There is a child trafficking involved in this with all of them. Remember on the Gayle King interview when RK said there are real girls missing, chained up in warehouses and buried in the desert. Oh yeah, I actually thought that when he was saying that, I'm like, is he really trying to give us a blueprint of what's happening here? That's actually a very good point and something to revisit. Note taker, beautiful Spirit. Can you note that as well? All right. When he said that is the only time Gayle was uncomfortable. One of R. Kelly's girls heard them talking about the girls in the warehouse. Oh, wow. Wow. She wrote it in her book. Okay, who wrote it in their book? Who's the girl who wrote it in the book? Did I miss that part? Or did Gayle King write a book? Jensen said Jive made billions. Oh, yeah. We need to get Solar Coaster and interview a few people if possible. Ugh, I don't know. I just never had interest in reading his book because I feel like it's full of lies, to be honest. His way of protecting himself should, this thing have come up, which it did. Yeah, and he was isolated on top of everything. I mean, it does make you feel really sorry for the guy, but at the same time, it does not excuse the behavior, right? All right, let me get back to this thing here. So it goes on in quotes. Every time she did it, and she did it repeatedly, she warned me that what would happen to me if I snitched, he wrote. I was too afraid and ashamed. All I could do was stash the secret and hide it in my imaginary bread box, end quote. As an adult, Kelly set up a system of rules to maintain secrecy. Certain rooms in his studio are off limits to colleagues who may be sitting just feet away at the mixing board. But Peter Mokran could guess what was going on behind those doors. Okay, let's get Peter Mokran down. We know he's the engineer. All right, quote, there was a constant flow of women, said Mokran, an engineer whose production work on Kelly's 1993 solo debut 12 play led to jobs with Michael Jackson, Christina Aguilera, and Mary J. Blige. I'd have to be like, hey, Rob, come listen to this. And it'd be like, oh, he's in a room with the girl. Wow. The culture of open secrets. So that goes to the other YouTuber who was like, oh, well, how could he have done any of that stuff when he was in the studio all night and he slept all day? Well, when you have bedrooms in your studio and different rooms with locked doors, yeah, you can do that. It's possible. It says the culture of open secrets and official avoidance became entrenched around the time of Kelly's relationship with Aaliyah Houghton, the teenage singer who rose to one-name stardom before her death in a plane crash in 2001 at age of 22. She was 12 when they met. Her uncle Barry Hankerson was Kelly's manager at the time. By 1993, Aaliyah was flying from her home in Detroit to work with Kelly in Chicago. So she was doing all that at 12, 13, 14. Jive released her debut album in May of 1994, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, produced and written by Kelly, that would go on to sell millions. And Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, of course, that was Kelly's bright idea. It goes on, that summer, the pair appeared on BET's Video Soul. Leslie Seeger wrote the show's co-host, remembers Jive representatives telling BET it should not ask about their personal relationship or Aaliyah's age. But Kelly, then 27, and Aaliyah, 15, came before the cameras wearing conspicuously matching plaid shirts. Seeger found it impossible to not go there. Shout out to Leslie Seeger. Quote, okay, let's clear something else, she said on air. Everybody seems to think y'all either boyfriend or girlfriend or cousins or friends. Let's just set the record straight. That's a weird way to ask that question, though. She's saying, or cousins or friends. Okay, I guess she's just putting it all out there, like, which one is it? And then in quotes, no, we're not related at all, Aaliyah replied. So that takes out the cousins. We're just very close. This is my best friend, she said. Later, Seeger broached the second topic. For the record, you are how old? So she didn't even pay attention to what the record label told her to do. She said, how old are you? And Aaliyah replied, that's a secret. And she playfully put a finger up to her lips. Shh. And you know that, I don't know if you guys are into the whole Illuminati conspiracy stuff, but that's supposedly one of the signs that they use when they take pictures and whatnot. That shh, that finger up to the mouth. All right. It goes on to say, Kelly decided they should get married. At 15, Aaliyah would need her parents' permission, but Kelly didn't tell them of his plans. In late August, he flew her to Chicago, where Demetrius Smith, his tour manager, says he took her to get a fake ID, stating that she was 18. Kelly and Aaliyah were married August 31st, 1994. At the Sheraton Gateway Suites in Rosemont, Illinois, according to paperwork filed with the Cook County clerk on September 6, 1994. The marriage collapsed within days after Aaliyah returned home and told her parents. The Houghtons eventually got the marriage expunged. In parentheses, it says Michael Houghton died in 2012. Diane Houghton could not be reached. Hankerson said he was legally prohibited from discussing Kelly. So Hankerson is saying he can't discuss him for legal reasons. And why would that be? Is he a protected witness? What's going on with that? Well, this is actually before this case. So This is before any of his arrests. So what would be legally keeping him from speaking on R. Kelly? Was he already talking to the feds? Because he was being investigated from 2016. All right, let me R. Kelly threw 6 fingers up a lot. Oh yeah, the 6-finger thing. He must got something on Barry. After she left him, Aaliyah wrote she was chained up in one of her songs. She wrote about the abuse that she suffered. Her parents got paid off, so she never came out publicly. Yeah, and Barry absolutely has something to do with that also. Behind the scenes of everything. They said he was the one who was pushing for the marriage. All right, so Barry Hankerson says when he was asked if he had regrets, he grew emotional, like he did in that video we watched on the other live last week with that fake tearing up thing he was doing. All right, in quotes, it says, "Let me tell you something. I'm a Muslim," he said. "I do my prayers every day. I lost my niece in a plane crash, and please excuse my language, but I don't really give a fuck about none of them people you're talking about." End quote. Later in 1994, Hankerson and the Haltons came to Calder's office, and that's the owner of Jive. There was no talk of reprimanding Kelly. Instead, the family demanded that Jive let Aaliyah go. Quote, "And they basically tell me that they want a release from the contract," Calder said. "Anything they thought Aaliyah would never get the proper promotion as if she was on the same label as Kelly." So if not for Hankerson, she probably would not have been off of Jive and never would have came out ever again. Honestly, he would have made sure of that. I'm pretty sure. Calder agreed to let her leave, but only after securing a percentage of her future album sales on a new label. So Calder continued collecting off of Aaliyah and R. Kelly after Aaliyah, I will just say Aaliyah, after she left the label. So, man, she just didn't deserve a lot of the things that happened to her with a lot of people in life, right? But I'm just saying. Yeah, he told, yes, exactly. Snakes. All right, let's see. One thing Calder didn't do, it says, is press pause on Kelly's recording career. In 1995, Jive released his self-titled second album. It went #1. In response to questions about Kelly's relationship with Aaliyah, Kelly's management team said the following. As is well known, Mr. Kelly wrote and produced Aaliyah's recordings. Their collaboration created great music, and the world, along with Mr. Kelly, mourned the loss of her great talent. Wow, mourned the loss of her great talent, but not her as a person? That is okay. So by 2007, Kelly had achieved singular status in the music world. His 6 #1 albums had made him a clear commercial success, but his popularity differed from the other chart toppers. He was beloved, but also a punchline. A popular Chappelle Show sketch from 2003 directly addressed Kelly's infamous sex tape and the specific acts within it. In 2005, there was a Trapped in the Closet, a Gotta Go See It to Believe It 12-part melodramatic song cycle film that managed the feat of being praised by diehard fans and embraced as a campy brilliance by tastemakers. I think I was right when I said embarrassed. He has something with the number 12, huh? All right. He even made a record with Jay-Z, though a dispute between the two megastars led to the collapse of a promotional tour mid through its run. And I want to address that real quick, the Jay-Z tour situation. There was a Cassidy, the rapper, was in an interview, and he said he had given guns to R. Kelly and his people. He was on that tour. He wanted to perform. So he said he didn't at the time know it was the beef was with Jay-Z. He just knew they needed some guns. He gave it to him. And at the end of the day, he said he never got to perform because of what happened after the fact between them. But what I want to say about that is I remember doing a video about the Jay-Z situation with him. And I remember he denied having guns. and doing that. I remember him saying, of course, he's not going to admit it. I mean, I get that. But to just straight out deny it, he could have just not spoke on it. But he's like, no, I don't have guns. I don't. Or maybe he meant him personally. Maybe his people had the guns. But all I'm saying is Cassidy admitted giving them guns, which says they had guns. So Jay-Z told the truth. All I'm saying, not to say, he's any better than R. Kelly, to be very honest, but I'm just saying. All right, back to this article. Even as his sales flourished, Kelly stayed in Chicago, where he would drop by the Rock and Roll McDonald's on North Clark Street for burgers, and not just burgers, as we know. And that's not in the article. This is me saying this. Head to the courts at the Hoops Gym for pickup games, and the wind up at Chicago Tracks, and then wind up at Chicago Tracks for all-night recording sessions. And in his hometown, Kelly would develop the systems that walled off his entourage from his public life. So he had still a way to box things in. As he said, his bread box. He put things in a bread box. I don't know what the bread box analogy is from, but this goes on. The accounts of Kelly's routines and household details come from former staffers, court documents, text messages, and 6 women: Tracy Sampson, Patrice Jones, Rhonda Pace, Asante McGee, Kitty Jones, and Lisa Van Allen, who spoke to the Washington Post about their relationships with Kelly. Smith, the former tour manager, said the singer, a high school dropout, didn't feel comfortable around mature, educated women. Quote, "We didn't look at ages." You notice he said we. We did not look at ages, Smith said, because their mamas let them stay out all night. And I don't know if y'all know, but Dimitri himself, I think, has children with girls he met underage. I think that is the case. This article goes on. They included a rapper named Tiffany Tia Hawkins, who in 1996 sued Jive and Calder Zomba Recording Corporation, which I'm told Zomba is a very lucrative gospel label. So he was benefiting off of that. So it sounds like he benefited off of Black people in general. All right, it goes on. Accusing Kelly of picking her up during a visit to his old high school, Kenwood Academy. In her suit, Hawkins says she had sex with Kelly in 1991 when she was 15 and he was 24. Kelly settled with Hawkins in 1998 for $250,000. Jive's attorney successfully argued that the label and publishing company should not be found liable. I would love to see the transcripts of that those arguments. Barry Weiss, the chief executive of Jive from 1991 to 2011. Okay, Barry Weiss, that's somebody else. Get that name, please. Told the Post he never talked to Kelly about his behavior. It was none of his business, he said. Barry Weiss is a big blind eye guy. He was there the whole time, 1991 to 2011. That's during those peak times early on. And he said it was none of his business. And he's like, what? Weiss said he didn't know that Jive had been named in the Hawkins lawsuit, nor in a second suit by another woman, Montina Woods, settled in 2002. How, as the chief executive, you don't know you being sued? I guess they get sued so much. In quotes, it says, "I was a record company putting out R. Kelly records," said Weiss, who later served as the head of Island Def Jam Group and Universal's Republic Records until 2014. He said, "That's all I knew. I wasn't involved in his criminal cases. We were a record company, for God's sakes." Well, he could have left God out his name out of this. All right. Welcome, Andrew. Demetrius is 25 and baby's mamas were 16 and 17. Yep. Birds of a feather. Okay. It goes on. In 2001 and 2002, De Regatta's the BuzzFeed writer, who was then the Chicago Sun's music critic, obtained sex tapes from an anonymous source that allegedly showed Kelly. He turned them over to Chicago police. Their investigation led to Kelly's eventual indictment on child pornography charges. Calder recalls calling Gerald Margolis. Gerald Margolis was Kelly's high-powered Los Angeles lawyer, whose other clients included Mick Jagger and Robin Williams. Calder said Margolis, who died in 2008, told him the women filing lawsuits were not credible and were taking advantage of the singer. And that's what they always say, right? In quotes, Margolis said to me, there's this guy, Jim DeRogatis, at the paper in Chicago that's got an axe to grind for Rob, Calder said. And they're looking to stir up shit, basically like that. And that was it. That's what he said. That sounded kind of weird how that came out, but those were his words. And they're looking to sort of stir up shit, basically like that. And that was it. That's what he said. After Calder sold Jive in 2002, little changed at the label when it came to R. Kelly, even after a second child pornography arrest in Florida in 2003. Investigators found photos on a camera in one of Kelly's summer homes. They alleged showed him in sex acts with a minor. The charges were dropped after a judge ruled that the evidence had been improperly seized under an unrelated warrant to search for drugs. So they did have a warrant. I thought they didn't have a warrant at all because I was aware of that, but they had a drug search warrant and not a porn search warrant. See, and this is where the laws get in the way of some stuff, because either drugs or child porn, like, couldn't there be a blanket? Like, if you find child porn, drugs, illegal this, I'm just saying, I guess it's a slippery slope because, we do have people who get in trouble and who are set up for things by the police. I'm just saying. But that doesn't make sense to me at all that they just dropped it. Seems to me they would have come back. I don't know. I guess by that point, they probably would have burned the stuff. All right. So it goes on. Larry Kahn, who was then a Jive senior. Here is another name. Larry Kahn. Khan. Who was a then Jive Record senior vice president for marketing, said he had no problem with working with Kelly even after seeing a clip of the singer's sex tape. Well, what does that say about him? He don't have no problem with R. Kelly even after seeing some of the sex tape. Okay, it says Kahn, now with Interscope Records, wow, questioned whether it's a record company's duty to deal with the performer's offstage behavior, referencing stars such as Jerry Lee Lewis and Chuck Berry, who also consorted with young girls. This is a damn shame. Should NBC have stopped Mr. Cosby, he asked rhetorically, of the entertainer recently convicted of sexual assault, who was once the network's top star. I don't know the answer. I just stayed at the Wynn Hotel. Nobody was talking about Steve Wynn, the former casino magnate recently disgraced by sexual harassment claims. See, and that's the problem right there. Yeah, NBC, if NBC was aware of anything going on with Bill Cosby, with the drugging and raping or R-wording of women, yes, they should have definitely intervened. Yeah, I don't see why he can't. I just feel like if he's under your watch, under your employment, and he's doing illegal things, especially hurting girls, women, children, boys, like, yeah, you're supposed to step in. I don't understand that logic. So let's see. Okay, let me get back. I'm in the chat, just seeing what y'all talking about. Right, Goddess, another missed opportunity. Exactly. Okay. In 1990, it says Jive wasn't the only record company to ignore Kelly's behavior. In 1999, Tracy Sampson says she started working as a 16-year-old intern for Epic Records. Now 35, she's never before spoken publicly about her relationship with Kelly and her 2002 settlement. She says she is doing so now out of concern for the young women who remained entangled with him and her frustration with how she was treated by the star and his supporters. Sampson, who had graduated from high school early, says she met Kathy Carroll. We need that name, Kathy Carroll. Carroll. Okay, says she met Kathy Carroll, an Epic Regional Promotions Manager, through a friend. Carroll, who managed Kelly, who is that friend to? Carroll, who managed Kelly briefly in the 1980s, brought her on as an intern. She formally introduced her to Kelly and brought her to the studio when the singer offered to play some of his new songs. When Carroll briefly left the room, Sampson recalled Kelly told the teen to pretend she had to go to the bathroom because he, quote, wanted to show her something. And we all know what that something was. Sampson said no. Later, Sampson says she told Carroll that the singer made her uncomfortable. It says, but Kelly also could be charming, polite, and funny. A few weeks later, Sampson says he gave her his phone number and urged her to call. So this guy at this point is a star, right? And people say, well, he doesn't need to do things like that. He's R. Kelly. But here he is pressing the 16-year-old to, as soon as he meets her, to meet him in the bathroom. And I'm thinking he had herpes at this point. I don't remember the year he got it. I think maybe not, but still doesn't matter. This is how he got it, though. It says in parentheses, she says she was still 16. Court documents from her subsequent legal claim indicate their sexual relationship began when she was 17. But Sampson says that attorneys agreed during the settlement process to mask the timeline. And see, there's another problem. These attorneys working together to make their clients look good. So somehow, I don't know why the other attorney agreed to that, because it doesn't benefit her. But I guess maybe that was a stipulation for them to make the payout, that she had to agree to say that she was 17, because 16 is just too young. But I think in LA, because I think that was here, wasn't it? Wait, I forgot what city that was. But 17 is still illegal in a lot of cities, a lot of states. It says the relationship was difficult, Sampson said. They often fought, including one night when Sampson said Kelly brought a naked girl into the room and pressured Sampson to have sex with her. Another time, she says, she noticed a red light blinking in the dark and realized she was being filmed. She says she felt conflicted, hiding her relationship with Kelly from her parents and Carroll. Sampson said Kelly would laugh when she fretted about missing work at Epic and angering Carroll. But when Carroll found out about the relationship, she confronted the intern. In quotes, she told me I was a stupid B and I shouldn't have talked to him, Sampson said. And then she asked, he's married. You lied to me and he lied to me and you made him lie to me. So this Carroll person, Kathy Carroll, is blaming this teenager and saying, you made him lie to me. She made that man lie. Okay. In parentheses, it says Kelly wed backup dancer Andre Lee in 1996. They had 3 children and divorced in 2009. It says Carroll fired Sampson, but for years, whenever Sampson would run into Carroll, even after Kelly settled her lawsuit for $250,000 in 2002, Sampson said her former boss would chastise her. Sampson attempted her career managing other artists, but gave up because she was told her dispute with Kelly had poisoned her reputation. It says Carroll, who now works as a senior director for radio promotions and strategy for the Sony-owned gospel label RCA Inspirations, has a different view. She said, Rob is a really good person. I think he's just troubled like a lot of other artists are. And I just know that people who are artsy are kind of kooky, I guess, different. But he's got a very good heart. Sampson said Carroll was starstruck. And I would have to agree with that. If you look up Kathy Carroll, she herself met Kelly as a teenager. She comes from Chicago. And she herself said she managed Kelly early on, I think it said. So does that mean she was a manager of his when she was a teenager? After she stopped working with R. Kelly, she went on, she said, several interviews in order to try to get a job, get her foot in the door. So basically, he didn't even help her get a foot in the door in the label or at any label like she wanted to do. So why did she have to grind so hard to get in when she was supposedly helping him in the beginning as a teenager? That'll be a whole other thing. Okay, let's see. It says a lot of these women who claim, this is Kathy Carroll talking. A lot of these women who claim stuff, they put themselves out there like that, and then they want to turn around and sue people and sue men. A lot of times it's not really the men. Okay, well, we see she's a problematic woman because she's not even taking up for this teenage girl. And she's the one that introduced her to this man. She should feel some type of responsibility. How much more of this do I have? Oh, wow. Okay, there's a lot left to this, and I gotta go. I done reeled y'all into something. So I'm not sure. I might just come back live later today, or do the rest in the video and upload it. But I'll put the article link in the description box in case you are able to access it and you want to finish reading it. I'm going to keep my place here so I know where I was at. But yeah, this stuff right here is a whole rabbit hole of stuff. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. Oh, let me see what y'all are talking about before I leave. Let's see. What's up, Maddie? Maddie, you a free R. Kelly? You know you a troll, so I'm not even paying you no mind. Let's see. You got the wrong Maddie and Jet Fly. You have, and we have Black Girl Manager. We not, yeah, exactly. Okay, multiple pages. I don't know what. Kathy sounds like a handler. She absolutely does, and she sounds like she might have been a victim herself. Jet Fly, why are you here? Yeah, exactly. Do I need to? Truth Seeker might need to be a mod. Okay. So yeah, we'll pick up from here. I think I'll just come back, but I have to, have things to do, y'all. But I appreciate y'all, love y'all. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Like this video, share this video, spread the word. We're gonna come back, finish this up. And until next time, peace.